Hey all, welcome to ShareTreck. This is Raj here. Friends, today I want to talk to you about a new article that came in somewhere around, I think, around 10 o'clock in CNBC, and you have that on the screen just behind me. What it says is high-cost sickle cell gene therapies push insurers and Medicaid programs to find new payment models. And what I have done is I have gone through this article. They're making it more personal by giving the example of an individual, Deshaun, who has got sickle cell disease from his early teens, just to highlight how difficult it is with sickle cell and why this treatment is warranted. And it seems that Deshaun is undergoing Vertex's Casgevy therapy, which of course is of interest to us because we are looking at CRISPR therapeutics. And they have spoken about the pricing and other things and slow ramp up. I want to give you my gist of this whole thing. You can always go to CNBC and check this out, and if I remember, I'll try to put a link to this article in the description section so that you can read it for yourself. But after reading this, I had a thought in my mind. Today we had CRISPR Therapeutics jump to around $52, and the price action was also very interesting. I'll show you at the end in the TradingView platform. I have a concern that probably this price rise might not last long, and people will soon start digesting this information. It's a very long article, so maybe some people will take a little time to digest it. I thought for you guys, I would like to summarize this. So let's look at the disclaimer and then get started. Welcome back, friends. Please remember to tune in to my live streams at 7:45 a.m. every trading day, and there are a few of you already started attending. Thanks for that, and more of you are welcome, and we can also do analysis of tickers that you think of. So with that said, let's get into this article. So after reading this article, I wanted to share a few of my concerns that I think could pressure the stock. It's not all bad news. I have got some positive aspects also that comes out from the details that we have out here. And ironically, the positive is not as good, but it is something better, like a saving grace kind of a thing. So first thing to look at here is the treatment capacity bottleneck. Only about 100 patients have been treated in the first year post FDA approval. This suggests a much slower ramp up than what many investors may have priced. And all of us, we have been totally blind about what is the pace at which patients are being enrolled, how long it takes to register the revenue. We know that Vertex will not register the revenue until infusion has taken place. So we have some high level information, but we don't know the exact number. And I think that people are generally thinking in double digits, maybe 37 or 52 or something in that line, but only 100 have been treated overall. And we can also see that there is funding infrastructure challenge, which is because of the high cost of the gene therapy. There is kind of funding that is done right now with a few elements. The first element seems to be the private insurance. Employer-sponsored insurance covers many patients, though approval process may be complex depending on the insurance company and the employer. Then you have private insurance, and you have Medicaid. Over half of sickle cell patients are covered by Medicaid, but state programs struggle with the financial burden. So that's another problem. And out there also, with regard to Medicaid, there's a little bit of a positive, and I will talk about that subsequently. Then we have government programs. The Biden administration launched a cell and gene therapy payment model, offering up to $9.5 million per state to support treatment costs. However, these funds may not fully cover all the expenses. So the $9.5 million could also be stopped by DOGE. So we don't know. If they find it, they will stop it. That's what I think, because they are all out to cut expenses. Or maybe they may decide that this is essential and they will let it go. We don't know. But the risk is always there that it may be gone. Then there are also emerging payment models where insurers and policymakers are exploring new risk-sharing approaches such as pooled funding across multiple payers and state Medicaid programs so that they can continue to support the therapy and its high cost. And while the therapy is approved, the payment infrastructure seems to be still developing, so that could also be a constraint on the overall uptake. When I look at Medicaid slow adoption, that is particularly concerning, since over 50% of patients seem to rely on Medicaid. And if DOGE decides to cut Medicaid, then that will become another problem. However, on the positive side, I would say that 9.5 million per state is a very small amount per patient when you look at it. Right now, we have just got 100 patients. So given the overall cost of the therapy, I think that the fact that it's not supporting 100% of the cost, to that extent, I think the impact of any cuts in Medicaid would not be like show-stopping. That's the only positive I can see here, and I'm calling it positive because it seems like a silver lining in a dark cloud. And then we have the market size versus the accessibility gap, because even with significant insurance coverage, the complex approval process may significantly limit the addressable market. And the approval process will involve a whole lot of medical as well as financial vetting before a patient is approved, and then hospital capacity constraints may create a natural ceiling on near-term revenue potential. So that's another thing that we have to look at. And of course, I've spoken about the slow ramp up and the challenges with Medicaid and the market size, but there is also the competitive dynamic, because CRISPR Therapeutics is not the only show in town. LifeGenia's presence in the market, despite higher pricing, could still impact market share and the pricing differential, even though it's close to $1 million. But with discounts and this and that, it may not amount to be that much. So there's definitely a bit of competition out there, and future competition could also arise when more companies come up with therapies that are compatible and competitive. And these factors suggest that potential downward pressure will be there on the stock. I think the euphoria is slowly dying down, and we are coming back to normal realization. And typically drugs like these initially start off with a big bang, and then reality starts hitting in terms of funding expenses, capacity constraints, logistical hoops and other things. So things start to stabilize a little bit, and slower revenue ramp than initially projected is another aspect that investors have to keep in mind. And also the infrastructure development cost is higher because of the very specialized nature of this treatment, where you need months of hospitalization to harvest the stem cells, and then to do myeloablation, and then to do engraftment of those cells. So the infrastructure development cost is also high, and longer timeline to reach significant market penetration is evident, because if each patient treatment is taking a longer time, market penetration with the capacity constraint is going to be the biggest thing that we have to look at. And also the reimbursement landscape, I think, is very uncertain, especially with DOGE running around cutting off costs everywhere. It's only a matter of time before they look at this and say, okay, maybe they don't cut it 100%, or maybe they decide that this is the right thing to do, let us have this. But we don't know that. So right now, I think the share price could take a hit. So I would personally, if I held CRISPR Therapeutics, I would definitely sell covered calls to protect on the downside. And possibly I might sell and book profits and wait for the share price to come down to re-enter the share, because we need to see other therapies from CRISPR Therapeutics getting monetized and approved. Towards that end, I think that somewhere in the next 3 months or something, we should get at least one catalyst from CRISPR Therapeutics based on their quarterly earnings report, which I discussed earlier. So it's not that I'm not optimistic about CRISPR Therapeutics. The only thing I'm thinking is that my euphoria that CRISPR has done the reverse head and shoulder target achievement and broken out of the bear channel was very high. But when I read this article, I got a little bit of a reality check. Let's go to the TradingView platform and look at what we have out here. So if you check this out here, you will see that we have CRISPR Therapeutics daily candles. Each of these candles is a daily candle. It's a daily candle chart. And we have this diagonal line of or channel. The diagonal line of resistance is at the top and diagonal line of support is at the bottom. This is the bear channel in which we were. This was the reverse head and shoulder, and we had a target of 51.78. We have overshot that. Today we closed at 52.22, up another $2.50, and our resistance happened to be 54.35. and 55.14. We touched both the resistances, and today's candle was a very slim candle. It was all legs and a very little body, very narrow range of trading, but high and low is significantly apart. So the market is a little bit volatile, and also the jump up in price was very irregular. It was all knee-jerk reaction to the earnings, and earnings in a company like CRISPR Therapeutics is very difficult to predict, to estimate. I have been talking about this since the last couple of years when we have been covering CRISPR Therapeutics. It's very difficult to estimate earnings for these companies because they don't have steady revenue. They have milestone payments and stuff like that. So typically we look at price to book, and we look at cash runway and cash balance. So these are the things that we look at to get a feeling of how good the company is. From that perspective, CRISPR Therapeutics is looking pretty good, much better than all the other genomic companies in our watch list, and in fact a notch better than that. However, CashJV is the only trick that we have here, which is bringing some money into the company. Of course, there are alliances with various other companies for developing therapies, and a very good track record of developing therapies like CashJV. But all said and done, the money is coming only from milestone payments, which are unpredictable, where we don't have much of a visibility into its arrival. And the other aspect is CashJV payment. And even for CashJV payment, we are looking at Vertex quarterly report to get an idea of what's happening. So given all those things, I think that it is time for CRISPR Therapeutics to cool off. Typically, when I look at a chart and I look at the RSI, I would definitely pull this to the peak that it has ever experienced. And the peak it has ever experienced is 73.78 on the RSI scale, and we are already there. So I am suspecting that tomorrow onwards, we are going to see CRISPR Therapeutics share drop, and our diagonal line of resistance is going to become a very strong line of support because our 200-day exponential moving average is coinciding with it. And we are still above the 21-day exponential moving average. That is good. MACD is also bullish. That is good. But RSI needs to cool off. That's the main message I have here. And yeah, that brings me to an end of this video, my friends. And I hope that you are able to get some information out here from me that was of use for you. So my personal opinion basically is that I would sell CRISPR Therapeutics and book the profits and wait to get into it again after making sure that it bounces off this diagonal line of support if it comes down. However, if tomorrow it opens above one of these supports, then I think I'll change my opinion and I'll have to take a relook and see what happens. But after reading that article, I'm sure many investors are going to read that article and they'll be talking about it. That's definitely a bearish article in my opinion. And market always works on sentiments, so there is going to be negative sentiments coming in on the CRISPR Therapeutics share price. So that's what I'm thinking. Guys, you give me your feedback, put it in the comment section, and please tune in for the 7:45 a.m. EST pre-market session that I do. It's a live stream, and we can analyze stocks online and also look at the pre-market action and make some plans for the day, and also do some specific analysis for any ticker that you have in mind. So with that, my friends, I'd like to bring this video to an end. Thanks and have a great day. Bye for now.